Your content gets millions of views, hundreds of thousands of likes, thousands of comments. I'm guessing life hasn't always been like that for you.
No. It's those experiences and falling on our faces that motivates us to say, I can't ever let that happen again. There are some people that they don't want to be helped. They are perfectly fine being the victim. Do we really have to do this? This is mandatory?
Yes.
All right.
JR,
Just don't hurt me.
you're in the business of helping men face their fears.
Yes, I am. I am.
And you're asking me if you have to do this.
So I post that video. It gets more views than any video I've ever posted up to that point. It's about 8.5 million views.
What the?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
What do you think was the secret sauce?
I think the secret sauce at that time was...
Welcome to the Barbells and Bourbon podcast, the podcast that allows real people to tell real stories. I am your big, bald, bearded, barbell lifting, bourbon drinking son of a bitch, Shaun. And joining me is King Harvey.
Thanks for having me on, man. It's
Welcome.
a pleasure to be here.
Welcome to our home. Where did you come from? Don't say my mom.
I grew up in Youngstown, Ohio, in a little village. It's actually...
Village.
Yeah, it's a village. It's actually, when you drive into the village, there's a sign. And the village is called McDonald. And the sign actually says it's the finest village in Ohio.
How many villages? Is it like by default the finest because it's the only one?
I think it's like kind of like how a coffee shop will declare itself the
World's best coffee?
Best coffee. Yeah, that type of deal. I mean, it is a pretty good
Is it
place.
fine?
It's the finest. It's the finest village I've ever lived in.
But you haven't gone to other villages to compare your village.
Don't need to.
You're confident.
Highly confident.
It's the finest.
It's one of the best. As much money as I pay in taxes to live there,
It better be the finest.
It is one of the best, hands down.
How far away is it from here? Because I'm in Pittsburgh.
Right. It's about an hour and a half from here.
That was quite the journey.
Mm-hmm.
Furthest traveled yet, man.
Me?
Yes.
Nice. This is my first live podcast, by the way.
How do you feel about it? You've done multiple podcasts.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All over the internet, and I would much rather do it this way.
Well, it's all I do.
Yeah.
I've never done, so I'm kind of like committed to doing the live thing.
Mm.
It's just the brand that I want to continue with.
Mm-hmm.
I'm okay with like the Zoom call type feel or the StreamYard type thing, but this is more intimate.
Yeah. Yeah, it's different.
It is.
I'm definitely more uncomfortable.
There's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, and I'm like not in my realm either.
Oh.
You know, like there with those,
Like
I'm like,
hiding behind a screen.
well, I'm in my own space with all my stuff. You know, I got my snacks and my drinks and my bag and all my stuff, you know.
And now you're barely wearing pants in my home,
Yes.
which is actually welcome here. So, anyways, thanks for coming, man. You mentioned being in your element in the internet. You're practically a celebrity.
I wouldn't say that.
But let's be real here. So you have 870,000 followers on TikTok, 1.4 million followers on Instagram.
Yeah.
Your content gets millions of views, hundreds of thousands of likes, thousands of comments. I'm guessing life hasn't always been like that for you.
No.
You've got to be thirsty.
I am.
Would you enjoy a pour of bourbon with me?
I would love to.
I don't have any cigars.
That is
I know
unfortunate.
that's kind of the thing. You already mentioned there's no ventilation in here. That would not be good.
Yeah, so we'll just do the bourbon.
We're going to do the bourbon. Do you drink bourbon?
I rarely drink ever.
Okay.
Yes. A few times a year. Special occasions.
Is there anything here that catches your eye? Whether by the name, by the bottle?
Yeah, for me, if I came into this room and saw all the bottles, the one that I would choose would be the Woodford Reserve.
My man. Good choice. That is the bourbon that got me into bourbon. That's the one.
Well, there you go.
So that was a very good choice and a very sentimental choice.
So would you call that a starter bourbon?
Yes, I recommend it. Sorry to get so passionate there. But so if I am in the liquor store just shopping around and I see someone obviously hunting for something to buy, I'll bring that up. Like, hey, can't go wrong with this one. Now, go ahead and pull it off the shelf for me. That's the double oaked
Yes.
Woodford,
I see that.
which means it's twice barreled. Brings out a lot of more of the barrel note and a lot more sweetness. I want you to, have you had this one before?
Yes, I believe so.
Thank you.
Can I keep it, or is this you want me to put it back?
So, my previous guest, Chelsea, as you know, we arm wrestle on this podcast.
Okay. I didn't
Oh,
know.
you have? You're in for a treat. I haven't lost yet
In an arm wrestling match?
on the podcast. I have not lost yet.
Okay.
She asked me, "What happens if you lose? Does the guest get a prize?" And her idea was to give the guest a bottle of bourbon if they beat me in arm wrestling.
Seems fair.
So you could be walking home with your very own bottle of Woodford Reserve Double Oaked.
I'm gonna guess. Okay.
Speculation.
Speculation. I've done a lot of arm wrestling in my day with various members of my family and friends. I don't think I'm gonna win this one.
It's not a strength.
It's
no
not-
pun intended.
Yeah, it's not. I wouldn't say it's my forte.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I guess only time will tell. We'll see what the outcome is. But
Cheers.
cheers, buddy. Thanks for coming. What do you taste? Alcohol is not the correct answer. You get any tasting notes out of that?
No, I'm not the person to describe it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't know. What do you taste?
So that's very syrupy. I taste French toast. But you start to acquire different tastes, and we're able to kind of like hunt for different tastes as you.
French toast. I love French toast. It makes sense.
Yeah. What molded who you are today?
Yeah, so growing up as a kid, grew up in a household with, both my mom and dad were there. They both had separate families before finding each other. So I'm one of 7 kids, but kind of split families. And I had, my mom was very like dominant. She's a very strong, like kind of even aggressive at times. Like she doesn't mess around. She's not one to mess around with.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. And my father, nicest guy you'll ever meet. Just like, he's a mixture of Jesus and Santa Claus.
He's just so laid back, go with the flow.
He's the most likable person you'll ever meet. You can't find a reason to not like him.
Got it.
Right. And my parents, I did an incredible job raising me. Like they taught me all my morals and my values and everything. But, anybody who has kids know you're going to mess up your kid in some way or another. Like it's just how it goes. None of us are perfect. We all have our own flaws.
Yes.
And unfortunately, whatever flaws we have will likely get passed down to our children.
Yeah.
So if you have some serious ones, you should probably figure that out.
So of the 7, what number were you?
I am number 6.
So they had a lot of practice, and they still messed up with you.
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good thing you weren't number 1.
Number 1's pretty cool. Number 1, my oldest brother. He's I get along with him very well. Yeah.
One of my training clients used the analogy of kids are like pancakes. You always fuck up the first one. Then each time just gets a little bit better.
Yeah, I don't know if there's truth to that or not. I
But
don't know. It's definitely a rock. Like the first one, I think a lot of parents would probably agree. Like you just have no idea.
no,
And you can't until you do it. You just can't understand.
you can read every book there is, watch yeah, you don't know.
No,
You're
you
winging it.
you're winging it. Hopefully you aren't totally winging it, but in a way, no matter what, you are because you've never done it.
Winging it with responsibility,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So you grew up in a mixed household with a very strong, dominant mother and a lovable, jovial Santa Claus, Jesus father.
Yeah.
But you said, you know, you still had your little idiosyncrasies and maybe you made some mistakes. So kind of walk me through what you learned throughout your childhood, ups and downs.
Yeah. So, my parents were like, they basically just loved me. Like the one thing that my parents did a really good job at, unconditional love. Like they just really, no matter what was going on in my life, no matter what mistakes I was making, they were always encouraging me, like telling me I could do whatever I wanted, or not whatever I wanted, but whatever I, wanted to pursue
Sure.
and all of that. They were pretty good about that. And I think for me, like it was almost too lax in certain areas and too strict in others and whatever. But in my physical like body, like I was very overweight. And just a combination of all those things kind of led me to be just the kid that was overlooked all the time for anything. Like I was always picked last. I wasn't good at sports. I wasn't good at school. I wasn't particularly good at anything other than video games.
Okay.
Right?
Which could get you far, but in
Not-
reality, it's not going to get you
Not
anywhere.
in mine era.
No, yeah, that's true.
Yeah. And I did it like competitively and professionally. Like I would go to tournaments and play Madden tournaments and, do things on Call of Duty. Like I was
So you were
really
a gamer.
Yeah, big time.
Wow.
Big time. It was my escape. That was like my drug of choice.
Okay.
That and going to the park and playing basketball, just shooting around. Like those were, whenever there was tension in the house or like anything, I learned to avoid conflict at all costs.
So you didn't face it or try to resolve it. You just kind of ran from it,
Yeah.
or you hid. Yeah.
Yeah, I would hide up in my room and play video games all day or just leave the house.
So what do you think drew you to video games? It's because they weren't judging you back. They weren't picking on you. It was just a separate world from the realistic world.
It was the only thing I could win at.
Okay. So it's the only thing you actually excelled at.
Yeah, as a man, it's really important to find something you can win at. And that's what I found. Like none of my friends could beat me. Most of the people I would meet like and challenge online, like I was very good and I loved that. Like it's an addicting thing.
It is.
Because it gives you that sense of like
Worth.
worth.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So you mentioned your friends. So what was your friend circle like? Because you were, we'll just call you the chubby kid.
Yeah.
You weren't athletic. You weren't all that smart. So who were your friends?
I was a chameleon. So I never really had any close friendships for a majority of my life. I would just kind of turn into whoever I could be to be accepted by those people at that time. If they listened to a certain type of music, I would be like into it. If they dressed a certain type of way, I would do that. I would say the only like consistent thing was basketball. So like any friends I made from basketball, like that was always there. But even then, like I was always just kind of go with the flow, just drifting. I didn't really have preferences or really anything. I was just trying to do whatever I could to get acceptance from the other kids because it was the one thing every kid wants. You just want to be accepted and feel
liked.
You just want to be a part of the group,
So you just wanted to fit in and you did what you needed to do within reason, maybe, to fit in.
Yeah.
Did you ever cross any lines with different friend circles to fit in? Did you ever take anything to the extreme?
Take anything to the extreme.
Like for me,
Okay.
I stole. I bullied to fit in. things I'm not proud of.
Mm-hmm.
That's the kind of thing that I'm asking you. Did you ever take it to that level? Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, there was. I don't think there was really anything that was off the table in that part of my life. You know, as I got older, you know, I started like getting into the party scene, right? And it was my whole time through high school. My parents were very strict. Like, if I was going somewhere, they were calling the house that I was going to
See if you were there?
to see if their parents were there.
Got it.
And have a nice little conversation with them to make sure they accepted or they approved.
Because now kids make the plans and parents are oblivious.
Yeah.
So you got kids showing up. And honestly, the other parents, they don't know where the kids are half the time.
Right.
I think there's a little too much trust. But anyways, so you say you have strict parents.
Mm-hmm.
You're falling into all these different friend circles and doing things that aren't you to be accepted. Did your parents, were they aware of any of this? And if they were, how did they respond to it?
No, they weren't really aware of anything.
So they weren't concerned to go JR's off with such and such this weekend.
They were probably concerned about, you know, different phases of my life.
Yeah.
But no, like when I was, I mean, through high school, like I really didn't leave the house. You know, I was, because think about it. You're a 16-year-old boy. How terrible is it that you go to a friend's house and you go, hey man, is your mom home? My mom wants to talk to her. Like that, like the first time it happened to me, I was like, I'm not going over to people's
you're not
houses
even going to
anymore.
deal with it.
I'm not. I can't, because now like they're gonna make fun of me about that forever now, forever, for the rest of my life. Like, hey JR, make sure you talk to your mom before you come, like, or whatever. Like that's, I'm never living
That could
down.
destroy a reputation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. So it was like, I just sat at home and played video games or went to the park and played basketball.
Because it was easier.
It was easier.
Yeah.
It was easier. Yeah.
Did you go to college?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Where
Youngstown
in-
State University.
Was that YSU? Mm-hmm. Yeah. What did you do there?
I studied electrical engineering. Yep. Yep.
Nice. Engineering background also. How was college for you? Did you stay on campus? Did you commute?
Yeah, I commuted. I lived like 10 minutes from the campus.
Okay.
So I commuted there. It was a big commuter school. A lot of the people there were commuters. And I would say that's where, like, what you talked about earlier, right? Like, did you ever cross lines? I crossed them all. Because once I got into college, I distinctly remember this day. It was like New Year's Eve, my freshman year of college. And my family always has a party at the house. And I like talked to my mom. I was like, hey, is it cool if I go, you know, to my friend's party? You know, because they're having a party and that's what I want to go do. And she looked at me and said, JR, you're 18. I don't care what you do. Go do whatever you want. And I took that conversation very seriously. And I went and did whatever I wanted from that point forward.
So the chains were broken and you were free.
That's right. Yep. Yep. And that's where, you know, you start partying. I ended up doing a lot of different drugs, selling drugs, you know, just a whole different, like, season of life. Like I would have never guessed I would have done anything like that. Never in my, like, because in high school, I never even had a drink, let alone done anything like that. So when I got there and it was just, when I started doing that stuff, people liked it. People liked me, right?
Yeah.
And then I built this persona of this guy. And all of my friends were because I was that guy. And I couldn't stop being that guy, or I would lose these friends that I've never really had before.
Wow. So you were acting.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I wouldn't even say it was acting. I didn't have a real me. I didn't know what the real me even was. You know, you spend so much time trying to be what everyone else wants you to be.
Right.
You lose yourself. You're like, you don't know what your morals, your values, what you care about, what your desires really are anymore.
So as you're going through this phase, you're now the life of the party. Everyone loves you because of who you've become.
I wouldn't say everyone loves me.
Well,
I think that was probably the first point in my life where people did start to dislike me.
oh, okay.
Rightfully so.
Well, again, as you're living this rebellious phase of your life, right? Do you ever feel like you were happy? Like, did you ever sit down at night or as you're going to bed, think like, this is the life. Like, I'm happy.
I don't know that I ever had that thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was mostly,
In the moment type stuff.
sure, yeah, like enjoying the pleasures
Yeah.
as one does in college.
Did you graduate?
I did.
Okay.
Yes.
Hey,
No, I made it through.
just saying.
I'm a responsible.
You're painting quite the picture here.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I did graduate. No,
Okay.
I did graduate. And luckily, you know, right before I graduated, I started dating my now wife, who you know very well.
Yeah.
You know, turned my life around.
Okay. So that
Or at
answered my
least-
next question.
Or at least started to.
Okay. So you were sort of out of control.
Yeah.
You made it through college. Were your grades okay?
They're fine. I had like a 2.9
So average.
average. Yeah.
So you meet your now wife, Audria. She met you during this phase.
Yes.
What do you think drew her to you?
The rebellion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're the bad boy.
In her mind, yeah. For sure.
Have you guys talked about this?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you said she was the catalyst to change you.
Yeah.
Why do you think that she felt the need to do that?
I don't think she felt the need to change me. She just wasn't going to accept me as I was, you know? And I understood perfectly why.
Like, what do you mean?
No, it wasn't like, this is my life. This is how I'm going to be forever.
Isn't this awesome?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. I mean, I got it. Like, yeah, duh.
Time to get your shit together.
Right. And, you know, my relationship with her was really the first ever serious relationship. Like, I had girlfriends for like 3 or 6 months, you know, never really much more than that, because either they would just get so disrespectful to me that I had to leave them, or eventually they would just get sick of me and cheat on me or leave me, you know?
So you had some toxic relationship experiences.
Who doesn't when they're young? Nobody has any idea what they're doing.
I didn't. Seriously.
None.
No, because my first girlfriend ended up being my wife.
Uh,
I did not date.
well, lucky you.
I mean,
No, seriously. It's traumatizing.
it's easy for you to say that
Yeah.
because you lived on the other side of that fence, right?
Sure.
On my side, I'm listening to this story. I'm like, oh, he's so lucky. He had all these girlfriends every few months because I didn't live that.
Yeah.
For me, and the person I was, I wanted a girlfriend so bad. I just wanted to be liked
Yeah.
beyond the friend zone. Yeah, I'll do your homework, hoping that there's some reward there beyond asking me to do homework again. But yeah, it's all grass is greener, right?
Yeah. No, I definitely, like, if I wouldn't say I would ever want to change anything in my past, because I'm very happy with my life now and the direction that it's heading. Right. And I think a lot of people like try to ask questions like, how can we have, you know, the young men that are coming up, how can we teach them these things that we've learned without going through all the stuff and like the bad things? You can't.
They have to live it.
They have to live through it. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what I'm believing. Like, the more I think about it, like, those are the things that make us, those moments, because it's one thing to read a book, right? And you're like, oh, okay, that's how I should do this and that. And it's all making sense to me now. How many people read a personal development book and then the rest of their life, they're implementing everything in that book? No. Probably nobody.
Right.
Very rare. And probably very small changes other than like maybe some mindset shifts and just some continued education is going on. Their behaviors are probably still going to be the same. It's those experiences and falling on our faces that motivates us to say, I can't ever let that happen again.
Yeah.
Something has to change.
I say there's no such thing as making a mistake as long as you learn from it. Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. Because we all make them. Mm-hmm. If you continue to live life and continue to make the same mistake, you're making mistakes. But if you learn, I can't fault it.
Yeah. I think it's one of the most important things a man can do.
So I want to touch on one other thing that you talked about. You said you had strict parents. Mm-hmm. Now that I've heard your story up until college, graduating college, I see a consistent theme with people that I know that had very strict upbringing. I don't want to say it was very strict. Mm-hmm. And then there's a breaking point, a complete polar opposite shift. Mm-hmm. And you went through that. Mm-hmm. I had a coworker. He was a strict parent to his children. His one daughter went away to college. She went like AWOL. Like she went all in.
Yeah.
Like getting her stomach pumped from drinking so much. And it's just like, I think if you hold your child back too much, there's that rebellious side that wants to come out even more. Mm-hmm. Do you think you went through that?
I wouldn't I wouldn't say I was rebelling. And I don't know that all the kids are doing that either, right? Because when I think of rebel, it's like to spite the parents and the upbringing.
Yeah.
I think what it is was they weren't properly prepared to handle the situations. Never had a drink before. You have no idea how much is too much. You never gotten wasted before. You never made those mistakes. Like you just said, you haven't made the mistakes that give you the lessons to be able to properly navigate those social circles. So you make, because those social circles are at it's a bigger level now, right? Yeah. There's way more at risk in college on your own than there is in high school with like the safety nets that are there
of your family and
and everything else, right? People that can catch you. So it's like not having that knowledge going into that, you're just not prepared.
There's no bar set in anything. So you're finding the bars. Like you said, you've never drank before. You don't know what your limit is.
Yep.
But yeah, live and learn, as they say.
Yeah.
Now, so you meet your now wife. She starts to be a better influence on you. Did she struggle in your relationship when you first met, as far as like seeing the side of you? And did you ever risk like breaking up, or was it smooth sailing?
Is any relationship smooth sailing, Shaun? That doesn't exist. And
No.
Anybody who tells you
Is lying.
they are lying, they're probably in the worst position ever.
Trying to paint a picture that's
Just, yeah, who knows? But I mean, it's such a difficult thing because we're so different, as men and women, and like trying to figure out what we need to do to allow her to trust and respect us, because that's what we want, right? And that's really what she wants. And then her trying to figure out what she's got to do to
earn that from you.
To earn that from us and like help us along the way, and also like just getting our needs met, And when we got married, we were a mess.
Really?
Oh,
Elaborate
absolutely. I mean, I don't know. Like we just had no foundation as to what a marriage is. Like we just got to the point. We've been dating for 4 years.
You just
right?
checking the boxes.
time to get married.
Yeah.
Because on Audria's spreadsheet, if she didn't get married now, it's going to take her it's going to take me at least 2 years to find someone else to get married to, and I want to have kids by this day and be able to be married together without any kids for this amount of time, and you're ruining my plans.
And you're both engineers.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Right.
Hence the spreadsheet reference.
The spreadsheets.
Yeah. You had a plan. You're very regimented. Engineers are by trade pretty structured. They like a plan.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So you got married because that's what your spreadsheet said you had to do at this time.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
How was marriage at first?
I would say it was fine for the most part. Like we got along great. You know, we were both into the same things. We were both people pleasers. So like there was never really any arguments because both of us hated confrontation. You know, it was just two people just constantly brewing underneath the surface, building resentment,
which is
building
very unhealthy.
rage. Very unhealthy, right? Until you finally like explode at some point. Right. So like that's, you know, we had moments like that, I'm sure plenty of times. And it wasn't until we met people who did have a great marriage that we could like hang out with and get some guidance from. It wasn't until we met them that we really started figuring it out, like as to how we should go about it, because I don't know if there's just one way to do a marriage, right? Where like the man is more masculine and the woman more feminine and all that stuff, right?
Right.
There's maybe marriages that work differently than that, right? But for us, like that was the game plan. And we were totally 180 of that. It was like she was leading everything. She was the breadwinner. She was making the decisions. I was what we call a drifter. I'm just along for the ride. I'm go with the flow. I'm a chameleon. Whatever you guys want to do, I like it too. Whatever vacation you want to go on, I'll have fun. I'll figure it out. Whatever food you want to eat, I'll eat that.
You know what this sounds like?
What?
Your mom and dad.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, exactly.
Did you ever put those two together?
Of course.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just like I became my dad.
Yeah.
Right? Because that was the only example I had. It's just ingrained into us. It is my default settings to be that way.
Yeah.
Because that's just what you do as a kid. You want to be like your dad.
Yeah. So you're going through your marriage. You're on autopilot.
Mm-hmm.
Audie's taking the reins.
She's driving.
Was there a point where you're like, this isn't working for me?
The whole time.
Really?
Yeah, it was, you know.
So you were just doing it because you thought that's what was right, and that's how your dad was. But deep down, you were like, this just doesn't seem right.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like we were like completely unhappy, but it just, I was never really like getting it. It wasn't like clicking, you know, nothing was really making sense. And part of it was because of the go with the flow, the drifting. I didn't have any vision for our future. I didn't have any goals. I didn't have any dreams. It was just all, what are your goals and dreams? And we'll see if we can make that happen. Right? And we didn't have any like even morals or values to kind of stand behind to make decisions either. So we had we had no idea where we were going.
So you were winging it.
We were totally
Day to day.
winging it. And I think that's how most marriages are.
Yeah, because like you said, it's like being a parent. You can try to prepare to be a parent, reading books and whatever, but until you live it, being a parent's different for everyone. Being in a marriage is different for everyone. At what point in your marriage did you figure out that we can't keep living like this? We need a plan.
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know if there was a specific point. I think we found people to help us before we got to that point. And just start us in the right direction with some, not necessarily a plan, but just some tools.
Who are these people you keep talking about? Friends?
Yeah, they're good friends. I'm actually going to their house after this.
Okay.
Yeah, so their name's Dusty and Ashley.
So they weren't like trying to fix you deliberately. You were just observing them.
It's a bit of both.
Little okay.
They were in like a mentorship role, for sure.
Okay.
And Dusty, like I was working basically for Dusty. So like I just saw that he had the type of life that I wanted. You know, he was successful, he owned businesses, you know, he was incredibly handsome.
Look at you, man.
Hey, listen, what can you say, you know? You're drawn as a young man, like you're drawn. That's why people like, you know, Andrew Tate and all these other guys, that young men are drawn to like masculine men,
Yeah.
or people that portray themselves to be that way.
Yeah.
Right? So I was drawn to him because he had the success and everything. And then the more I got to know him, I'm like, this dude is very different. Their marriage is very different than anything I have ever seen before, in a really good way.
So it wasn't all show.
Right.
They backed it up.
Yeah.
With a healthy marriage and good family values. Do they have kids?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So did you ask for help, or did it sort of just organically happen?
I definitely asked.
Did you?
Mm-hmm.
Do you mind saying some of the things that you would ask about that you needed help with?
I don't know that I don't remember specific questions, but it was, you know, we had a lot of conversations about how I could lead better. You know, like that was the thing that he always looked at when he looked at me. He was like, dude, you need to step up. Right? Why did you just let that happen? Why didn't you say anything about that? You know, why are you just being so passive in your business, your career, and your marriage? You're just allowing life to take you wherever it wants to go, instead of being assertive and like deciding where you want it to go. And learning how to fight was a big one. Like learning how to have an argument, have a disagreement.
Face conflict head on.
Yeah.
Which you always ran from.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right.
I can imagine that was probably one of the harder things to change.
Scariest thing I ever did in my life.
Yeah. Did it make you feel more like a man to fight back?
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels good to fight back.
Stand your ground.
Yeah. Yeah.
You said your dad was very passive.
Mm-hmm.
Was any of that passiveness, I think that's a word, do you think any of that came from fear? The fear of rejection, the fear of being disappointed, the fear of someone not agreeing with one of your decisions?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think a lot of it is rooted in fear and false beliefs that we have. Right? So like fear of upsetting someone, especially our wives or our girlfriends, right? We don't want them to be upset with us. We don't like that.
That's scary.
Right? It can be scary, but it's necessary.
Yeah.
It's necessary, right? And then the other part of it is just these things that are ingrained into us. Like if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. Happy wife, happy life. All like just, there's so many that have been just ingrained into men from the time they were young, that it's what you think is right. It's what you believe to be the right way to do things and live life. And I would say, if you don't like the results that you're getting in your life, it's because of your beliefs. It's because of your beliefs, because those beliefs are what make you take actions or not take actions. And I think we can all agree, the actions we take or don't take are what gives us our results in our life.
Right.
Right.
So you mentioned you have to live the experience to actually learn from it and make a different decision the next time. You can only read so many books on self-help, self-healing, motivation. You have to actually live it. How does someone develop the skills to, like you said, kind of like make a better decision? Like, yeah, you can experience it. Do you turn to friends? Do you turn to religion? Like, what is your source of learning how to navigate life a little bit better?
Yeah, part of it is not necessarily religion, but your ideology, right? Are you like heathenistic? Are you Christian? Are you like that stuff matters because whether you know it or not, you believe something.
Yeah.
You either believe it because you chose it or you believe it because other people kind of raised you to choose it.
Right.
Right. Or society taught you that. So it's your morals and your values and your purpose. Those are like pillars of decision making. And most guys are lacking in one or all of those areas, right? Especially young men.
Yeah.
Right? There's so many guys out there right now, which is like a testament to my channel, that just feel like they have no purpose. There's no reason for them to be even living anymore sometimes.
In your experience, is that due to traumas or experiences or just being lost? Or a little bit of everything?
I think being lost, like drifting, just kind of going along with the flow of life. I think all of that stuff, it leads you to trauma. It leads you to loss. It leads you to these terrible situations that cause you to start thinking, why am I even doing this anymore? You know, what's the point of this? Because if you don't have like a vision for your future or a purpose in mind or like a big goal that you're constantly striving for, when you hit those hard times, if your purpose was maybe surrounded around your wife or your children or your job, those things can leave.
Yeah.
You know, those things can disappear. And there's plenty of men who have watched that happen.
So if you're living life for these other things only and not for your own purpose and happiness, and those go away, that's where bad things can happen.
Big time.
Yeah.
Yep.
Have you ever experienced a personal loss?
I've lost no real people in my life. You know, no one's ever like passed or anything like that that was very close to me yet. I'm young enough to not have had to experience that yet. I've certainly lost a lot of friends along the way in my journey, you know, close friends. I've lost jobs and, you know, careers and businesses along the way. So that would be my extent of loss.
What was the cause of losing friends? Mainly, I mean, you said in college you were the chameleon.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like when you finally found who you were, that's where your friends really started to kind of filter out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because they liked me that way, right? They liked that version of me. That's why they were friends with me. So I don't blame them for not liking the real version of me. I never showed that to them.
Right.
Some of them, like, we were pretty intimate. Like, I had a few friends that I was pretty close with. But I think as you get older, right, and you start figuring out, like, what direction do I want to head? For me, I was kind of ahead of all my friends at the time because I was a drug dealer and partying and, you know, doing all of that stuff. So the people I was hanging out with were not super ambitious, right? I went to college early. Like, I was going to college in high school. So I finished early and started my career. And I was 2-3 years into my career and my friends were still
In high school or college?
partying,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So it was like I was getting married and my friends were still partying.
Yeah.
You know, I was starting a business and my friends were still partying.
You can't relate to that.
Like, we just lost common ground.
Yeah.
You know, the things that they wanted to do, listen, getting high is great. You know, smoking and drinking and partying, that's a fun time. But I have responsibilities now.
Yeah.
And I can't just do that, you know?
I think it's sad how many men especially never really grow up. Like, you can enjoy life. I obviously enjoy some of the finer things in life. I've never done any drugs.
Yep.
Never smoked anything, including cigars, cigarettes. But I think you need to find that balance. But some men, they're in their upper 30s, still living at home. No purpose, no goals, no drive. What do you say to those guys? Because I'm sure you interface with some of them. How do you help somebody like that?
They have to want to be helped. That's the first thing. Like, that was something I learned early on when I was starting to like mentor people and help people. You can't help everybody.
No.
You just can't. There are some people that they don't want to be helped. They are perfectly fine being the victim at that moment. Maybe one day they'll want to change, but they don't want to. Right? So first step is like finding the people that are ready to change, who have kind of hit that breaking point in their life where they're done with this. They need to make a change. They need to move things forward. And the more motivated they are, the easier it is to help them change. You know, you tell them like, hey, read this book. They read it in a week. And they're like, man, coming back, telling me about it. They got notes. They're asking me questions, specific questions about it. And we're talking about it. We're having deep conversations. And then there's other guys where it's like, hey, man, did you read that book? It's like a month later. Hey, man, did you start working out yet? It's like 2 months later.
They're not doing their homework.
They're continuing to allow life to dictate their time.
So this is very similar to people who come to me with a fitness goal.
Mm-hmm.
I can give them every tool that I have in my tool belt to help them. But if you don't want to change, nothing's going to help. I think it's interesting. You have those guys who are just like, meh. Like, I'm going to sign up for whatever this is, but they don't utilize it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you get that a lot?
I think no matter what you're doing, you're going to get that.
Yeah.
You know, it's almost like just the action of signing up relieved, like I did something finally. I did something about it.
Yep. It's almost like if you say that you have a problem, you've started to fix yourself, but you can only get so far with that mentality. Mm-hmm. You actually have to take action eventually.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
So we've done enough, alluding to this program business thing that you do. Yeah. I have a crown sitting on the table.
Sure.
You have a crown on your hat and on your shirt. You have a, would you call it a business? Mm-hmm. Called King's Community?
Yeah, I would call it the brand.
The brand's
yeah,
King's
the
Community.
Brand's King's Community, yep.
And you focus on helping men.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What can you help them with? Give me some examples.
Yeah, we help them with, their physical, their mental health, their relationships, find purpose and direction. We just are trying to help. No, we're not trying. We are helping any guys who need it, right? Who have hit that low point in their life and they need to start rebuilding, and most of them are relating with the things that I went through, like being very passive, having what we call nice guy syndrome, right? Just not being assertive, not being able to really live a life that they want to live.
Yeah. If you had to give like a rough percentage, how many of these men are in a relationship?
I would say most of them are coming out of a failed relationship.
So they're hurting even more, and they feel even more not wanted and more lost. Mm-hmm. Because like you said, if you're living for a purpose for your family, your spouse, your job, and you pull one away, you have, where do you go now?
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. How many of these men, I'm assuming you have a lot of success stories.
Sure, yeah.
And you said we try to. Do you have others helping you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've got a team.
You have a team?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
How did you choose your team?
My team kind of found me.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. One of the guys I met, when I started making social media content, I hadn't had social media or been active at all on social media for 10 years. Just nothing. Because in my mind, it was just negative.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing, no good was coming out of it. It was only to feed my ego and nothing else.
Yeah.
Right. So I quit it basically my senior year of college, pretty much right around then, around 2011, 12, like I stopped and I never started back up again. I didn't have the apps on my phone, nothing. So when the pandemic happened, and I had a lot of time on my hands and no job, and Audie was sending me like these funny TikToks all day, you know, eventually I was like, I just have to download this app so I can watch it, you know, and I download the app, and these apps, they know us deeply.
It's frightening.
Very frightening how much they know us. And me being into like business and marketing, they start sending me all that stuff, leadership, they start sending me that content. And I start hearing these people talk about how much money they are making by making content on TikTok. And immediately my first thought is, I could do that. I should do that. What else am I doing?
Yeah.
So I spent a bunch of money on a couple courses. One to teach me how to do affiliate marketing, and another to teach me how to make social media content and grow a social media channel. And within 3 months, I had 100,000 followers.
Jeez. You bastard.
Yeah. And then here's the funny part though, because I built this channel teaching people about sales and marketing and personal development and affiliate marketing and like all of this business type stuff. Yeah. And when I got to like a little more than 100,000, it got banned. It got taken away from me.
Why?
I still don't know. There's a lot of speculation, but they just do these things. I don't know what I did. There wasn't an explanation. There wasn't like, hey, this specific video. It was just boom, no strikes or anything.
So you finally got traction.
Finally was being profitable.
You're heading to the moon.
Yeah.
And gone.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was like, I finally found the thing. Like, I'm killing this. Everyone else in this program, they're losers. Like, I'm getting so many followers right now. Like, I'm figuring it out. I'm doing the work. I'm posting.
You're winning.
I was winning.
Yeah.
How wrong I was. Well, I was, you know, it all worked out, right? And what ended up happening was I lose that channel. And now I'm just, okay, I got to start a new one. And I kept starting new ones and trying to grow them, but I was doing things specifically like taking old content that I made and trying to like put on those channels. I didn't know you can't do that now, right? Yeah. If those videos pop up, that channel gets like shadow banned immediately.
Yeah.
Right? Didn't know that. Reached out to a guy. Reach out for help when you're struggling, right? I reach out to a random guy, okay? A random guy that had success in what I was doing at the time. And I heard him on a podcast earlier that day talking about how he had to restart a channel. Hit him up on Instagram. He responds, tell him what's going on, and he gives me just one or two little golden nuggets. Little nuggies. Yeah. That I implemented, and I started a new channel. And because of where I was at that time, I was down, dude. Like I must have started like 10 different channels over and over again. Keep getting denied. I'm not getting any views. This isn't working. And you start thinking, maybe this was a one-time thing. Maybe it was lucky. Maybe this isn't going to be the thing for me.
Maybe it's not meant to be.
Right. Maybe this is just, I got to give up at some point if it's not working. And because of that, the way these apps work, I was seeing very depressing content, right? Like dark content. And I decided when I started my new page, I started making the same types of videos I was doing. The first
business related stuff.
First 3 videos were business related. And then the 4th video, I had seen a video talking about a broken man, like signs of a broken man. And now I was like, I decided to post a video like that. I never posted anything like that before, but I saw it, had a bunch of views. I was like, I'll try something like that. I can do that, you know? So I post that video. It gets more views than any video I've ever posted up to that point. It's about 8.5 million views.
What the?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. So it gets over 8 million views. And then for the next 2 weeks, I just keep posting videos like that. Just every day I'm posting a video like this. And every time I post one, minimum 1 million views. Every single one of them. And then all of a sudden, it took me 3 months to build that channel to 100,000 followers. 2 weeks into this, I have 500,000 followers, and it's all men who are struggling with the same exact things that I struggled with, asking me for help. And at that moment, I was like, this is a sign. If anything, this is it. Like, this is God telling me, hey, all that stuff you did up to this point, those businesses you started, that channel you started, those courses you took, it was for this.
It led you to this point.
It was for this.
Wow.
And it was like a lesson on finding your purpose.
It's also a lesson on perseverance.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I can't tell you how many people quit when trying to start something on their own. I thought about quitting multiple things that I've, tried to get kick-started. But you get the biggest reason of failure is quitting. Like if you, there's that meme of the guy in the mine looking for the diamond.
Yeah.
And he quits, and it's like one more chop away.
That's all it was.
Yeah.
You never know when you're going to hit. That was my chop.
Yeah.
I could have quit very easily.
So that video that you're talking about that had over 8 million views, you were a small channel at that time, or a small account.
Yeah.
Why do you think that reached so many people? Was there a special technique you used, hashtags? What do you think was the secret sauce?
I think the secret sauce at that time was, and this is what I learned in the course that I took. Like, it was specific for TikTok at that time, because it was a crazy time. You could blow up accounts, and you still can. That's like the beauty of that platform, right? And I found the video, the original video. I took the same sound, made my own video with and kind of followed the same format they did and put my little spin on it. And then boom, got more views than that video, than the original one that I found.
It's so wild how social media works. Because in my own experience with the YouTube channel for this podcast, I've posted multiple YouTube shorts, and some will get over 10,000 views.
Yeah.
But I post that same short to TikTok, not changing anything. 400. It's so frustrating as a content creator.
Every single platform has little
Nuances.
tiny nuances that if you don't know or understand, it will hold you back. That's why it's so difficult, right? Until you kind of figure it out.
Do you think you cracked the code?
On TikTok, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because you mentioned how I have that account with like 850,000 or whatever it is now. I have 3 other accounts. One over 900,000, one over 350,000, another one over 30,000, another one over 10,000. I just made a bunch of backups.
Yeah.
Just in case.
But they're all doing very well.
Yeah.
Same type of content, just a different account.
Yeah.
So combined like 2 million TikTok followers.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
What is your target platform? Do you have one, or do you just try to like target all of them?
Instagram is my main target right now. Yeah. And I wouldn't say that it'll always be that, but in the beginning it was TikTok. And then when I got my account taken away, that was a lesson learned. Hey, I need a backup. I need a backup on TikTok, and I also need an Instagram and a YouTube, and have a backup for those. Because they can take them away at any point, whenever they want to. I just had a video get taken down yesterday for hate speech. For speech that they hate, apparently.
I have my own personal experience with that. I had an episode with Jen Miller. She battled anorexia. I think it was like 2 weeks after I posted her episode, I get an email from YouTube saying your account has been restricted to 18 and over due to the content from that episode. First thing I think is, and if you've seen the thumbnail, Jen has very large breasts.
I did see the thumbnail.
Size H breast.
Okay.
The thumbnail's funny.
Pretty provocative.
Yeah.
Could lead you to believe 18 plus, maybe.
That's why I thought it got
Sure.
restricted.
Sure, yeah.
Was for the visual.
Yeah.
Would you believe they restricted it because we discussed anorexia? In the email from YouTube, God, I hope this doesn't get me taken down by talking about this, said, we feel like any eating disorder conversation is not suitable for people under 18 years old.
How crazy is that?
How fucked up is that, JR? The youth need to hear that.
Yeah.
You can't hide that real world stuff from them. But that's why that got taken down.
Yeah.
It didn't get taken down, but now you have to be 18 to watch any of my videos.
Yeah.
It sucks.
Yeah. Yeah. With all the different channels, the realization I've had is it's their house and I got to play by the rules.
Yeah.
Whether I like it or not, I got to figure out what those rules are. And whenever I break them, like mental note, because on the video, I know why it got flagged. I know why it got flagged.
Yeah.
You know, and it was like, oh, forgot on Instagram, if I write anything in the caption that is remotely like whatever, other than now I just write thoughts on this ?
I noticed that.
Yes, I do that on purpose because if I put anything about the video in the caption for whatever, it like flags it.
Yeah.
Right? It flags it. And I've had multiple videos. All of them have something in the caption. So I just have to stay true to that moving forward and not get cute.
So it's important to know the rules you need to play by.
And the rules aren't always written either. A lot of them aren't. A lot of the rules are found just like that. That's not a rule.
No.
It's just an observation that I made on the videos that have been taken down.
Gotcha. Yeah. It was very specifically written what their rule was. I appealed it. I think I got an appeal response an hour later. Nope. It's still not appropriate.
Hard line on this.
What's a sign of being shadow banned?
A sign of being shadow banned? When you look at your analytics, you will not be able to reach any new people. You can only reach your existing followers and subscribers, and the only new subscribers you will get are from those people sharing your videos.
Wow.
Yeah, they cut you off from the funnel.
Does that ever go away?
In my experience, it hasn't.
So you have to create a whole new. Oof. So I better be careful.
Well, just be prepared to create a new one at any moment. I've literally created 30, you know,
for backups.
And it's just it's the realization is like, whatever, I did it once, I'll do it again.
Yeah.
People know who I am now. Like they have an idea. Like the people that watch this type of content, they'll recognize it. Every time I start a new channel, like it's a little easier because of that.
Yeah. So what are you getting from all of these views and comments? Are you, I'm guessing you're getting business from it.
Mm-hmm.
Men DMing you or clicking your link, or is that where the majority of your business comes from? Is from your social marketing?
Yeah, all of it is social marketing. Yeah. And some referrals here and there, but yeah, social marketing. Yeah, just all organic, no ads right now. Just all as we're like building it, you know.
Ballpark, how many men are you working with?
You know, it's probably, I think right now, currently, and there's probably anywhere between like 60 and 75 guys, you know, running through the program right now.
I'm guessing you have to keep it somewhat limited.
Well, I think that's what I had that realization, but the team, that's where the team came into play.
Yeah.
You know, because when we met, it's just me, right? I was just starting, trying to figure it out. And you just realize at some point, like, definitely the most profitable way to do it, but not very scalable.
Not scalable, right.
It's not very scalable.
And you had reached out to me asking if I could handle the fitness or nutrition side of some of the men that were coming to you as part of that stepping stone and building blocks to work on. Very rewarding, you know, and I still keep in touch.
Eli's the best.
He is.
I
wasn't going to name drop.
Come on.
He is the best.
Eli is the gold star of what you look for in someone coming into any program.
He put the work in.
He put the work in. He listened. He asked good questions.
Yeah.
Right? The sign of someone that's putting the work in is they ask good questions. What's the difference between a good question and a bad question? There is such thing as a bad question. Some questions that people ask, you know they're not doing it.
Yeah.
Right? It's like you wouldn't ask that if you were actually...
They're asking because they think they should ask.
Yes. Like, what could I ask them to make them think I'm
actually putting the work in here? Yeah.
Yes.
I read this material.
Yes. Where Eli's like, hey, I noticed when I put this chicken on the scale, do I, you know what I mean? He's asking like very specific questions.
Yeah.
Right? And he got incredible results, life-changing results.
So those results go beyond the physical. He lost over 100 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
The thing, I just got the chills because I remember him telling me this, and I hope I don't get emotional here, but he had told me at one point in his journey, he had lost, I think, 80 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
He said, Shaun, this is going to be the first summer that I've gone to the pool without a shirt on since I was 12.
Yeah.
And he was in his 20s at this point.
Yeah.
Come on. Like, that is life.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're right. He asked a lot of really good questions. The workouts, his form. He sent me so many videos from the gym, the log cabin gym that he was at,
So
which is the
strange.
coolest thing.
Yeah.
Strange. He would send me videos of him doing the exercise and asking for critique. Like,
We didn't ask them to do that.
no, A+ student.
Yeah. Yeah. A+ for sure, man.
Yeah.
And look at him now.
He's engaged.
Engaged.
He's living his best life.
Yeah. Yep. He's got a good career. He's got, you know, he's found purpose in what he's doing outside of that.
He just started blogging.
Exactly.
Yeah. He's doing what you did.
Mm-hmm.
He's taking life experiences to help others.
Yep.
So now he's blogging about his experience.
That's it.
That's it, man. If only all of the students could be like Eli. You've had your share of DF students, but you know what? It's like you said, you can't help everybody. Those that fail make room for the ones who really want it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I guess end of the day, it's a happy ending.
It all works out, you know. Yeah, it all works out. The people who do really want it, they show up to all the calls.
Yeah.
They show up with good questions. They start seeing results, right? They start talking about their results, you know, inspiring the other guys. It's a beautiful thing.
Do you reach out to those who aren't as involved or engaged?
Yeah, we do the best we can. Like, but there's a point where, you know, we have like some guidelines as far as like, all right, when we notice because we have daily check-ins. So every single day they get a little message, like it has 3 simple questions. Just answer the questions.
Yeah.
You know, see how everything's going. And it allows us to see things like, oh, hey, we should probably talk to them because something serious is going on there. Or just like, you know, it's just a habit, right? And you know, if they don't do their check-in or don't show up for a call, or we're seeing their progress as they go through course material, right? They're still stuck on day 1 and it's been 2 weeks or whatever, right? We'll reach out to them and say, you know, hey man, what's going on? Just checking up on you. Notice you X, Y, and Z haven't done that. You know, we'll try and help them along, but then we just give them some space.
Yeah.
You know, because they don't want that. They don't want to be badgers. They don't want to be constantly reminded that they're not doing what they said they were going to do.
Right.
That's not going to help them. That's just going to make them say, you know what, I'm definitely done with this.
Yeah, you clingy people, leave me alone.
Right. It's up to them. Like if they want to do it, great. If they don't want to do it, great.
Yeah.
It's totally fine.
Throw them a life preserver once, and then just bless and release, as they say. Sometimes you have to.
Yeah.
I learned that the hard way.
Oh yeah. You have to. That's the only way to learn.
I refused to lose a client for a long time. Like, no. I can, no. Like, you would try to cater to their lack of willingness to do it by sacrificing your own dignity, slashing prices. Like, I did whatever I could sometimes just to keep them, but hard lesson.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to learn it though. Have to.
As you said, you have to. Is this your full-time gig?
No, not yet.
No.
Not yet.
Is that your goal?
Of course. Of course.
Timeline, when do you think that might happen?
Whenever it happens, man.
You have no spreadsheet checkbox?
I'm not a spreadsheet guy like Audrey. I am more of I am going to do everything possible that I can do to make it happen. And when it is ready, like that's when it is. You know, my whole thing is like I get frustrated that I'm not at that point sometimes. But at the same time, I am helping. Like I am doing what I know I am truly called to do. And it doesn't feel like work at all. Like when I'm just hanging with the guys and talking to them and talking through things and asking them questions and having that back and forth, that stuff energizes me like nothing else. Watching them win at life energizes me like nothing else. So whenever that happens, great. Sooner the better. But until then,
you're enjoying the ride.
I am full, dude. I am completely full and satisfied. You know, like it'll happen when God blesses me and says, you have earned the reward, right? I'm not quitting on anything.
Yeah.
But of course I would like it to happen sooner.
Well, I think if you force things, that's when things fail.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
Some people try too hard to excel at certain things. And, you know, like you said, you have to learn, you got to follow the rules, abide by the process, and be patient.
Yeah. I'm reading this book right now. I'm reading it a bunch of times through because it's a tiny little book. It's called U Squared. And in the beginning of the book, he tells this story. And I love this story. Like, I can't stop thinking about it. He tells this story. He opens it up. The first page at the top, it says, "This is a true story." He says, I'm in like Italy or somewhere, and I'm at this restaurant. It's midday, and I'm listening to a life or death struggle just feet away from me. He sets the tone.
Wow.
And he just perfectly depicts this fly on a windowsill. And, you know, flies, like, typically they're very fast, they're hard to catch. But if you ever catch a fly on the windowsill, it's exhausted. Because what has it been doing? It's been trying to push through that windowsill, through that window for hours maybe, right? And the belief in his mind is, if I try hard enough, I'll break free from this. But we all know you're just heading towards death.
Yeah.
And then he paints this picture of 10 feet away, there's an open door. And sometimes working harder is not the answer. You just need someone to show you the open door. And that's what we try to do for the guys. Because most of them, the people that really want it, they're already hard workers. They're just doing the wrong things.
That's deep.
Yeah, I can't stop thinking about it.
I mean, that's a great life lesson for anybody. Mm-hmm. Not just men.
It's a beautiful lesson. Yeah. Yeah, I love it. The guy's name is Pritchette, something like that, I think. Incredible name.
Very incredible.
Yeah.
You're better than King Harvey.
Definitely a smart guy.
Even the name sounds smart. Does he have a British accent?
I don't know. I've never heard of him.
He has to.
I've never
In my
heard him
dream,
speak.
he does.
He is a professor, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
So.
You know what time it is, buddy.
What time is it?
See if you're going to have time to, my gosh, see if you're going to be walking home with a bottle of bourbon.
Do we really have to do this? This is mandatory?
Yes.
All right.
JR.
Just don't hurt me.
You're in the business of helping men face their fears.
Yes, I am. I am.
And you're asking me if you have to do this.
I am. I am.
You're going to face your fear.
Okay. All right. What do I do with this thing?
I'm going to move it out of the way.
Okay.
So I'm going to ask you a question.
All right.
Just like the fly. There's an open door if you want to fly away.
No, dude, I'm ready.
All right.
You've guilted me fully into this. So
You feel guilted. This isn't because you want to.
I definitely don't want to. I've never wanted to arm wrestle anybody in my life. I've only done it because my ego has been challenged.
So after drinking at a party.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
All right.
You're going to be fine.
Are you sure these glass, like what, which way is it going? We don't have enough room here. See
I'm not
the
going to
crowd?
slam you down.
You're not going to. So what happens if I slam you down and we break these glasses here?
Then it was meant to be.
Okay.
Then I deserve to lose.
Is there a countdown?
I want you to start when you feel like you're ready. So other than Eli, who stands out to you as a client?
All right, I've had enough.
And if you're not comfortable saying their name, you don't have to.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys that come in and they just. I was listening to a podcast earlier. Maybe it was just a YouTube video of Alex Hormozi. Right, he's very popular right now. Everybody loves him. A lot of people hate him too. I'm sure. That's
the way it goes.
In order to be loved by many, you have to be also hated by many.
I think a sign of true success is you have haters.
Yes,
Unfortunately.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like when it comes to being the nice guy, this goes back to that. Most of the time, your whole goal is not to be hated.
Yeah.
And because you're never hated by anybody, you'll never actually be loved by anybody either. Because you're wearing the mask. You're not being authentic. But anyways, Hormozi was talking about hiring and firing people. And he said this statement. He said, I've never had someone come on that wasn't a superstar in the beginning that ended up becoming a superstar later. You know right away.
Yeah.
You know right away.
Yeah.
It's obvious. It's apparent. Think about it.
Yeah. There's a lot of truth to that.
Absolutely. Absolutely there is. People come in on fire. Sometimes they do fizzle out. That definitely happens.
Yeah.
Right? We've seen that before for whatever reasons, various reasons. But never have I had someone come in and me dragging them kicking and screaming, and then eventually they just get it. And all of a sudden they're on fire.
Yeah.
Never.
They come in on fire.
They come in on fire, man.
What's a case? I hate to call it a case because it sounds like you're trying to fix someone, which technically you are.
Definitely am, yeah.
What's one that stands out as being like a huge win other than Eli? Like what's one that you just feel so rewarded? You don't have to mention names. Just tell me like what this scenario was.
Oh man. Yeah, thinking about it, I mean, there's a lot of guys that come in. I think the most rewarding ones are the guys who have marriages and we can like help them save them. I think that's the most rewarding, where we see like a couple guys, you know, they start implementing, they start focusing on themselves a little bit more. They stop, you know, trying to please her all the time. They start standing up for themselves and like changing the dynamics of the relationship. And then all of a sudden she's respecting him more and they're having these intimate conversations and, you know, they're having intimate relations again and all of that stuff that is so important in a romantic relationship, right? Those, like, there's a few guys right now where I'm watching that happen and I love that more than anything. I love watching them fix their marriages. I love that. The single guys, most of them are at a point where it's like, please don't even think about a relationship right now.
We have to work on you first.
We got a lot of work to do. But the married guys is like, you got no choice.
Yeah.
We got to work on both.
Yeah.
Right. So those are definitely the most rewarding.
What's the longest you've worked with someone for? Like, when do you know that like your job is done?
It's never done.
Yeah.
It's just whenever they feel like they're ready. You know, when like if they feel they still need me, you know, it's good. Like I can, because as long as I am ahead of them still, I can still teach them things.
Yeah.
As long as I'm growing, as long as I'm still learning and getting better and fixing my relationships and fixing my mental stuff and overcoming my challenges, I'm still ahead of them. And if you're ahead of them in fitness or in what I'm doing, you have something to give them.
Yeah.
Right? You still have value to give.
How many, you don't have to give me an exact number, how many men say, you know, Harvey, I'm good. I feel like a new man. Thank you for everything. And then they come back.
Oh, it's actually pretty rare.
Good.
Yeah, normally once they say they're good, like
they're good.
the only time I hear from them is just to catch up with like, how's life?
Yeah.
You know,
Just a little update.
yeah, just a little like, hey, you know, everything's still going great. Just they'll tell me like a milestone. You know, I just got married, or I just like Eli. You know, he sent me a picture of the engagement ring, right? So like stuff like that. That's what ends up happening. You know,
it's different in the fitness world because, you know, you'll have these clients that they'll work with me for months or a year sometimes, and they're like, I'm good. Like, you've taught me everything I need to know. I can do this on my own.
sure.
And then unfortunately, a few months later, they're coming back after gaining 20, 30 pounds because they lacked the accountability that I gave them.
Sure. It's a big one.
I'm not working out for them. I'm not feeding them. But yeah, you have to check in with me. And if you lose that accountability, you're now free to make your own decisions. You don't have someone looking over your shoulder giving you guidance anymore. And you start making bad decisions, and one thing leads to another. It sucks.
Yeah.
And that's why I feel like I need to not let anybody go, because I've seen it happen.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't want to see any of those stories anymore, but it's bound to happen.
It happens, man. It happens.
But
I think when most people lose the initial, like it happened to me, like when I was like 18 years old, I lost like 60 pounds. And then a year later, I was like right back, or like about to be right back. I was heading in that direction. And I caught myself because there were demons inside of my head, like looking at me shirtless in the mirror saying, what are you doing?
what have you done?
Do you remember how people treated you? Do you remember what that life was like?
Well, at least you had that self-awareness.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unfortunately, sometimes it comes a little too late.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah. This was good, dude. Like, I knew what you did. You know, obviously we kind of worked with each other. And I see all of your content. Your content, I know it's geared towards men, but it's just a lot of life lessons.
It applied. Listen, if I did the same exact content, I would say 70% of the content, if I just put woman instead of man, it'd be the same.
Yeah.
It'd be the same. And I just don't I don't want to work with women because I'm not a woman. And also because like, I don't want it to affect my relationship. I don't want to have like intimate, because I'm not just like teaching them how to work out. Like, we're talking about some
Deep stuff.
Like, I really get to know you.
Yeah.
And you got to be vulnerable with me. Like, we're building a close bond.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's most like we have more in common than not, but the differences are profound.
I love it. And a lot of the content you've been doing lately is around kids, young generation, like girlfriends bragging that they cheated on their boyfriend 2 days after they broke up, or the guy best friend. You've been doing a lot of that.
Yep.
This younger generation needs help.
Absolutely.
So bad. And I'm glad that you're kind of targeting them. But yeah, it's how much I know social media is like your main platform to get the word out on what you do and how to help people. How much do you think social media is hurting society?
Oh, it's terrible.
Isn't it though?
It's terrible. It's absolutely terrible.
Yeah.
It's like one of the first things I recommend to guys when I'm like, hey, I know you found me there. Quit it.
Get rid of it.
We need a 30-day cleanse right now. Like, that's what I'm recommending.
Yeah.
Do it if you want, don't do it, but that's what you should do. It's so bad for men and women,
Yeah.
right? In similar and different ways. It just, everything on there's fake. Everything. These perfect couples, how many of them that make the couples content end up getting divorced or cheating on each other, right? How many of these people that, you know, have like polyamorous relationships and act like, oh, this is the way to go, or, you know, Christian relationships or whatever, and then it's like it crashes and burns so hard. And how many of them are just skits? They're totally acted out and they're done so well that we can't tell the difference.
Yeah.
It's like how AI is now. Like, it's getting to a point where I've literally posted some things and, like, you know, done a commentary over it, and then later come to find out, oh, that was just a skit.
Oh.
It happens.
So you're putting the footage of that skit in your content.
Yes. Yeah. Thinking
like,
it
it was real.
Exactly. But it was just a skit. And now, like, normally I just lead off like, I'm not sure if this is a skit or not. But regardless, if you ever run into this,
it's entertaining.
It's entertaining for sure. It's entertaining. Yeah.
That is so funny. Yeah, you know what's real. And that's about this podcast. How do I start off? Real people, real stories. This is not a skit.
Right.
I don't have a phone in front of me. There's no teleprompter in the background.
Yeah.
We're just talking about whatever comes up.
We're just bros being bros.
That's it. Well, man, it was awesome having you. Thanks for making the trip.
No problem.
This is your PSA. I want you to talk to this camera. Boost yourself up. Tell people how you can help them. Tell them where to find you.
Sure. Yeah. So, you know, for us, like we talked about, we primarily work with men that are, you know, struggling, that need some guidance, need some mentorship, need to fix their relationship maybe, or fix themselves before they get back into another terrible relationship, right? Mentally, physically, spiritually, all of that. And our social media pages, if you just search King's Community, you'll find us on, you know, TikTok and YouTube and Instagram. And if you want to check out our resources, we have a free Discord community for, you know, young men and men of all ages, where it's just a platform for guys to come in, connect with each other, share their stories. We have multiple calls every single week, just big group calls for guys to come on, vent, talk about things in a safe place where they won't be judged, where they can talk about things that they can't talk about with anybody else, right? So our Discord community is available, King's Community Discord. You can DM us for a link or find it in the link in our bio. And then mancamped.com is where we provide all of our training resources for anybody who wants to look into that.
You the man.
You're the man.
Yeah, we're both the man.
We're men.
We're doing our thing, dude. It's all you can do, you know?
I love it, man.
Sometimes I feel like the fly against the window.
Listen, this is sweet, though.
I appreciate it.
What you've done here, like when you sent me a picture of the setup, I'm so proud. Like, this is so cool. Like, this is like, I envy you in this right here, because podcasting is like such a love. I love it. And you're doing it. And I love that you're doing it. So I'm just stoked to be here and like see all this, man. It's so cool.
You see the production in action.
Yeah.
And it is a love. It's a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a team. I don't send this footage off to an editor. As soon as we hit stop, editing begins.
Yeah.
For hours.
Yeah.
And tomorrow, all day.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the way it is. But you know what? I feel good. I feel proud that I can do it on my own. Is it always going to be that way? Am I going to have to ask for help one day? Probably. Mm-hmm. That's not a sign of weakness. It's just a sign of wanting to be more scalable, like you said, right?
Yeah. Yeah, we all need help.
Do you have any questions for me before we close out?
Dude, how are you so strong? I had no chance in that arm wrestling competition.
You're strong, though. I want you to give yourself some credit.
Okay.
I'm not just saying this because you're sitting
You
across
just
from
arm
me.
wrestled a girl earlier. Is that what you're comparing me to?
No,
She's a strong girl, though.
she was strong.
Very strong.
Chelsea, you're strong.
Very strong.
You're the strongest guest I've had.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that because many of them have been women?
I've only had 5 of the 12 have been women.
Oh, okay. So it's a split. It's a good, more men.
Yeah.
I'm the strongest man.
You should feel good about that, man.
I feel like I do deserve this bottle now.
You're not taking the bottle.
Sorry. Can I get a medal? I had a shirt.
I put a crown out for you.
Strongest man of the podcast. I hope that reigns true for.
I'll give you a post-edit trophy on the screen or something.
All right, that'll be
Or some corny sound effects. All right, man.
All right, dude.
Awesome
Appreciate
having
it.
you. Yep.
Thank you.
And I will see you on the next episode of Barbells and Bourbon. Peace.
All right, we did it.
We did it. We're rocking and rolling. Don't fart.
I already told you I'm committed not to.
So you're actually going to hold true to that?
100%. I'm a man of my word.
Would you tell me if you did?
Yeah, of course.
Like after we're done filming, you'd be like, Shaun, I have something to tell you. I passed gas.
I think we would know right away if one of us farted. I could probably taste it. The saturation level, the moisture content of the air, I think it holds a fart. Yeah. We probably couldn't escape it either.
I mean, there's nowhere to go.
There's
gotta,
not a lot of ventilation going on in here
just
either.
gotta.
You got all the cracks and crevices blocked off.
Yeah, everything is soundproofed.
Yeah.
And hotbox
State-of-the-art
central.
State-of-the-art system on the door there.
You like that?
It's perfect. There's nothing getting through that.
Nothing. Nothing is escaping this room, including yourself. You're stuck.